Hello everyone and welcome to the 2018 Maricopa Meadows Open, round number 1 front half with an awesome group including Anthony Borella, Paul Ulibarri, Preston Johnson, Herr, and MVP's very own Jason Krueger. We're in the HOA, as in the Homeowners Association course, found in Maricopa, Arizona. Jason Krueger of MVP on the tee. First and foremost, huge shout out to MVP Disc Sports. They are our presenting sponsor here of the coverage this weekend. And Jason's starting out on hole number 9, a 460 footer. Finds the OB on that right hand side. Anytime you're in the gravel area, you're going to be OB, and there's also OB to the left, meaning the road. Herr, I saw his brother the previous weekend in Arizona, Jeremy. And at 460 feet, these guys are just trying to put a really good pump out there. You will see in a moment there is a easement or grate of sorts there. It looks like a little tunnel area. There is OB directly in front of that. You could also go wide OB to the right if you find the playground area. So you really just want to put this one in play. Certainly a bonus if you could get up there and get the birdie here at this 460 footer. It's a little bit elevated with some danger around it. I think you just want to start out with a 3 here if you can. Jason pulls himself 1 meter inbounds. Throws his approach shot up toward the pin. AJ asks what he's doing. It's like a little first hole jitters here. Everyone's trying to get comfortable. It's about 10:30 in the morning, and there is that OB area I referenced a minute ago. And Preston, forehand short. Uli's got a great looking angle here. You may have seen this on Instagram. Ow! Just not enough. He really put himself within putting range. Not able to capitalize. AB fights through after taking the penalty stroke. Solid putt by Preston. Not too bad to get started there. Don't want to leave yourself that kind of tester on the first hole, but that could build a little bit of confidence at the same time. Little flow of play action. Flow of play meaning even if you're not necessarily the person that's deemed to go next, if your group agrees with it, usually they'll let you go ahead, tap out, and move on. Three guys starting out over par after hole number 1. You go to hole 10, 315 feet. Since I was there last time, they've put in this permanent tee pad and then put the basket in permanently. This was more of a temporary hole that I saw a few years ago. Forehand is a great shot. You saw Uli's just a little bit high on that turnover. AB winds up, and that's pretty good execution. I'm about 2/3 of the way down the fairway. That would be the best vantage point to be able to get that full swing there. And that's a great looking shot by AJ. Jason, not quite enough air under it. Keeps it a little bit too tight. Uli's just looking to lay up, move on. Jason's got a jumper that, oh no, the wind catches it, carries it past the basket, finds himself on that rainwater ditch overpass bridge thing. Those are some official terms. Preston short on his attempt. And AB is just thinking, all right, time to erase that bogey from the opener. He's done just that. being that this is in a homeowners association, this isn't a public park, so everyone has to be very mindful, even more so, of the neighbors, backyards, fences. It's a really interesting setting out here in Maricopa. The mayor was out, threw the first disc out again. Awesome to see the support from the mayor. And Jason struggles. AB fights himself back to par, going bogey birdie on the first 2 holes. And this is treated as an island green. You must get past the flags that you see. This hole at 230 feet. You have to get past the flags. However, you can't go too deep. If you find yourself over the curb and on the gravel area, that's also out of bounds. Couple of approaches, couple forehands, couple backhands. This is really a must get. It's a little bit more difficult. They're making you think about it because the island's there. Also an elevated basket. So those are some things that kind of make the hole a little bit more challenging, but this is a must get birdie when you're out here competing at the pro level. Solid putt. All 4 of these guys, or correction, all 5 of them inside the island green. And speaking about the mental game, even just playing in a 5-some, that's not that customary. We don't see it at the biggest of events. And so just kind of getting used to that timing can be a little bit difficult. There's times where you'll sometimes see a player, 4 players throw, and the 4th player off the tee may start walking because they're just so used to that pace. Right now we're 3 for 3 on birdies on hole 11. I've gone with leaving the graphic up on the upper left-hand side. I'd like to know what you guys think of that. I'm still working on getting eventually some new graphics, but I'm leaving it up for the entire hole. I want to know, do you guys like that? Please let me know in the comments. I'm always trying to improve the post-production, and we're 5 for 5 on the birdies. Pretty impressive. That's exactly how hole 11 should be handled. Anthony Borella, 359 feet, makes it look very effortless. Anthony's still in high school. He'll be graduating this year. He's going to be able to take the rest of the summertime to go out and tour around and play quite a bit. Talked to his mother a few weeks ago in the Shelley Sharp, and she said, yeah, he's going to be doing some college classes, whether it's online or in person, whatever the case might be. He's definitely going to be going the college route. But Anthony, I know, wants to get out there, get on tour, and start throwing some discs around on the pro levels. Anthony Barela cashed at this event. It was his first ever cashing, where he had accepted at this very event just 1 year earlier. This hole is pretty straightforward. Looking for a hyzer, you want to have a good angle. You don't want it to possibly roll. That comes into play a little bit more here on the putt. Herr up and over the basket. So dainty. I love it. Uli knows how to adjust putting speeds and styles better than really anyone else in the game. Uli with quite a variety of putting styles, we'll say, throughout the years. It's a great birdie by Jason. Preston Johnson here for the cleanup. I think that's all we have left. A few birdies already been had. Herr will be looking to do the same. I mentioned earlier, coverage is brought to you this weekend by MVP Discs. I want to thank them so much. After these guys tap out, we're going to see a quick word from MVP. See you guys on hole 13. little bit of a walk, and we move over to 13, 352 feet, 7 feet shorter than the previous hole, and looks like a mid-range for Mr. Ulibarri. Jason gives it a little bit more of a flex shot that's not quite fighting back up that hill. AB also with a mid-range. You'll find it's very common out on this course that there'll be OB on the right side. More often than not, some kind of house or bricks or fence or something of that nature, maybe the gravel area. So you'll find that OB on the right side a lot, and then OB road on the left side. I think you can find a way to throw out of bounds on literally all 27 holes on this course. Some a little more dangerous than others. And like the previous hole, and like many to come, your angle of release is crucial here. We're not feeling too much wind. It was a solid putt by AB. But you got to make sure that if it doesn't go into the basket and it's going to hit the ground, you got to make sure it doesn't have... Oh, whoa. No good. What is that? That looked like it went right through. Preston had scooped down to pick up his mini. He had the birdie, and then he hears it drop and hit the ground. That is a heartbreaker early on here on 13. Uli with a pro-level tap-in. A few more tap-ins to come. Plenty of birdies to be had out here, one at a time. Ulibarri maintaining the honors. 370 feet for hole 14. Again, that gravel area off to the right, OB. And this basket is a little bit closer to the sidewalk. You don't want to hang it out wide to the right and control that angle. And that's just about textbook there from Borella. Temperatures in the low 70s at this point, maybe high 60s even. Looking about 11 o'clock in the morning out in Arizona. Gorgeous day. I'm glad to be out here bringing you guys the action. It's not really a secret. I think you're going to see by the end of this weekend, righty hyzer shots are favorable. I think I'd rather be a right-handed player than a southpaw, so to speak. Solid bid by Uli. Gives the little... Not sure what he was trying to cut there. And not quite as much metal as on the previous attempt there by Preston. Need a little bit of a miracle almost for that one to stick in. AJ will scoop up the birdie, as will Borella. And also birdie for Jason. He got off to a little bit of a slow start. We'll see if he can pick things up. Fancy, left-handed. I have to go ahead and say this was probably one of my favorite shots of the day from a camera perspective. I decided to go down to the catch, hang out directly behind the basket on this hole, and people like Anthony Borella throwing it directly at me. Gives me a really good angle. So it's a little bit difficult to tell just how close you are when you're on that tee area, which is why Decided to go down near the basket. And that gravel area can come into play very quickly here. And coming up short is Uli. It's a pretty straight shot. Again, 294 feet. It's a little deceptive because you're really only seeing the top of the basket when you're standing back there on the tee. Awfully quiet attempts here. I don't know if these guys are scared, but that basket's right there. It's waiting for you guys. Ouch. That's all I can say. That looked pretty solid. A little bit right, but didn't seem to be too fast. Certainly not as fast as AB's velocity coming in on that one. And that's 2 of them for Preston in a matter of 3 holes, I think. He's going to have to keep it together mentally, not let that shake him. That seemed like another really good putt. Uli super enthusiastic with the slam. Or not. Moving to 16. Borella stringing them together here. 290 feet on hole 16. Ah, there it is, perched on that left side. Contending with OB right and left. And then a hillside basket placement. And that came out early out of his hands, and that's going to be rewarded with a penalty stroke. See, the players can go up and a little bit higher, really trying not to bring those trees into play like Uli's doing right there. And that seems to have checked up pretty nicely for him. You just don't want to make that mistake. Release it early, have it hit hard, and then skip OB. That's what we saw with Jason's shot. And he's staring it down. He asked if that looked like that one was going to come out or not. Either way, it's now in the bottom of the basket. So there's a pair of birdies here. Preston and AJ. AB keeps his streak going. I think that's 3 or 4 birdies in a row. So everything but the hiccup on hole 1 for AB. And that's a solid par save there for Jason. And Uli. So we got 4 birdies and a par save. Not too bad. Hole 17 is 416 feet. It's somewhat of a unique design or layout to this hole in that I believe the path, the sidewalk that runs all the way through this hole is more or less treated like a winding OB river. So I think you can be either right or left of the path. You just really can't land on the path. I wouldn't wager my first child on that ruling, but I'm pretty sure that's how it's determined, is you can be really pretty much anywhere on the green space. You just cannot come to rest on the path. Seems to be a pretty safe route to go out and around. Jason, however, trying to go up the middle. So it's a little bit of a tweener. You really need to put a great pump out there or make a long putt. I know it measures in at 416 feet. I think it plays a little bit further because most of our players have to go such a wide hyzer. AJ gives it a good bid. Borella, you see, is pin high, but doesn't draw any metal. Uli with his famous step putt. Somebody can slow that down. Call a foot fault on him if they want. I know everybody loves to do it. Obviously disputed each and every single video. But Uli, step putt for the bird. You guys tell me. Put it in the comments. Where are you guys playing? Is it warm and sunny like it is here in Arizona? Are you out playing in the deep, dark, cold, snowy, wet areas of the rest of the country? And with the long birdie, Uli pulls into a tie with Anthony Borella. They're both sitting 5 under par. Great concentration by Borella. A kid not too far away was yelling just as he was releasing that disc. Not sure about this one, but I believe this sidewalk might also be treated, in fact, as a OB stream. I believe you can be short or long, just not on it. This is a relatively routine hyzer. This is another one where you step up and you're just thinking, all right, throw a hyzer, put it inside the circle, make a putt, move on. Good birdie for Anthony. I think that one was also Instagrammed. And many people have referred to Anthony Borella as a mini Macbeth. He's no longer smaller than Macbeth, but Macbeth came in on the Instagram saying that was a 1,000 rated hair flip, or a 10 out of 10 after the Borella birdie. Keeping pace is Ulibarri. Preston underneath the basket. Jason's got 10 or 12 feet for cleanup. As you can see, plenty of opportunities for out of bounds and also plenty of opportunities for birdies. We'll see who wants them most out here in these opening half. And this shot is one of my favorite holes out here on the course. It's a little bit of a blind shot from the tee, hence me coming down toward the basket. And by this time, Paul Ulibarri's parents are hanging out by the basket. I think a couple of residents are also here by the basket, standing not too far from me. Which is one of the good things about playing in this community, is you have a lot of passerbys, people walking by that then get interested to see what's going on. Not everybody can gauge just how close things are getting, or when, oh, somebody, yes, the gentleman there, who I believe is a local resident, seemed to take that one in the side, which is really unfortunate, because after I slowed it down, looked at it a few times, I'm convinced that would have probably come back in bounds. So getting a little bit of bad luck there is Preston. Borella's got a long look, probably 45 feet. No big deal. He's going to briefly take the outright lead on the card. Another step putt, but this one not as effective as earlier. AJ Looked good to me out of his hand. I was pretty much counting that as a birdie, and he's left himself at least that distance coming back. That, unfortunately, is the worst thing you can do, is 3-putt on any hole. Looking at a birdie, he's going to walk away with the bogey. Anytime you're talking about saving yourself a few strokes or making a few extra bucks, eliminating any possibilities of 3-putts is the first way to go about it. And another bad break for Preston. Short one coming up on 20. As I said, a shorter hole at 262 feet. And you have plenty of open space to that right side. However, if you get this one up, let the wind take it, or just lapse in concentration for a moment, you could very easily find yourself pushing to that left side, find the sidewalk or the road. Jason puts one up there and finishes just a bit left. That's a good look from there. I think maybe after this we'll find out what he's throwing there. Staying away from that road, being overly cautious is AJ, and here's a different approach, going a little bit lower, a little bit flatter at it. I like the move. Gives him a slight uphill putt. AJ catching a little bit of the top and the bottom, needed some chain in between. And Borella, who's off to a really good start here. And with solid putting like that, he's given himself a look at almost every hole. He's converting most of the time. Jason looking for that little spark. He's got it. Yeah, there you go, Uli. Just post up right there, pal. I appreciate that. Not sure the smile helps, but I guess I'll take it. And Preston, again, not going with that hyzer line everybody else went. Looks like it'll work just fine for him. Relatively short one for Uli. Quick and easy work. AJ's going to walk away. He's going to take the par. Let's check in with Jason and MVP.
I'm Jason Krueger from Team MVP, and I like to use the fireball for those stable shots and headwind and short skip shots.
Coming over to 21. 423 feet and out of bounds. There's OB left and right. I'm down not quite all the way to the pin here, but if you also find yourself against one of those cement structures or inside there, that can be out of bounds. There's really a pinch point which Jason comes up short of. You see a tee pad there, as this can be slightly configured in a slightly different way for more casual play. And that's really kind of the super safe, good position landing zone. That's where I think you really want to be. Driving it any further, yeah, of course, can put you a little bit closer to the basket, such as that. But you're bringing that set of rocks into play. You know, is it that big of a deal for you to have a 70-footer versus a 82-footer? I'm not sure the payoff is there. This definitely measures in at a pretty long 423 in my opinion. Got some long looks at birdie. And Borella brings it in after going OB. He can save the par and it scoops out on him. little bit of an unforced error there by Borella. He's got way more than enough power to be able to reach this pin. Next time I think he just needs to commit a little bit more to it. I want to thank Boyd and Dan over at First Light, also gracious host. I've had a couple of great weekends in Arizona. Boyd and Dan, big part of that. I appreciate it. Appreciate the support from MVP, Hav, and Amy Jo. Moving on to 22. Here we are rounding out the final hole of the front half, and whoa, 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 whoa. Uli, where are you going, buddy?
There's a motorcycle there.
There was a motorcycle there. There is no basket there. Uli, as I walked down the fairway with him, he later said, I just had this weird thought in my head. I knew there was a motorcycle, but just something in my head made me think, well, what if it's like, is it driving down the sidewalk? What is that motorcycle doing? Well, it's clearly distracting him enough. I wish he would have reset. 421 feet, just a few feet shorter than the previous hole, but a lot less OB to contend with. Yes, it's right and it's left, but there's not that pinch point that we saw in the previous hole. Or you could just bust out your, I believe is a champion luster destroyer here for Borella, and just crush it. Pin high or so, making it look kind of easy. And albeit Yuli's got plenty of distance to get this 300 and some feet, it looks like that release is just off. He's actually gone past the basket. It's making it difficult. As of right now, he's got a tie for the lead at that 7 under par with Borella. Pretty good start thus far. I think we were walking down this hole, and Jason may have quickly gotten up and thrown. I think we missed his approach shot to 20 feet from the pin. And Borella, oh wow, that is going to be quite the swing between him and Ulibarri. Uli looking at possibly a 5 if he makes the putt. Borella takes the 2. I'll do some math for you guys. That's a 3-stroke swing. As Jason puts in for his 3. Again, rounding out the front half here, I want to thank Amy Jo and Hav, along with Dan Long, and seriously, wow, Dan Long, Boyd Brown from First Light. Uli, that's not funny. That's not funny. That is his 3rd ridiculous spit. This has been the front half. Thanks to MVP. We'll see you guys on the back half.